Welcome back to Capital Tonight. According to a University of Texas Tribune poll out this week, the Me Too movement is getting mixed results in Texas. Overall, 38% of the state's voters say they have a favorable view of it, but 30% have an unfavorable opinion. And when you break that down by party, 2/3 of Democrats view the Me Too movement favorably. Compare that to Republicans, where half of the voters surveyed say they have an unfavorable view. Taking all that into consideration, the question is being raised about what kind of effect the Me Too movement will have on the midterm elections. And joining us now to discuss this further, Katherine McLane, founder and CEO of the Mach 1 Group, a crisis management and public affairs firm based here in Austin. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Well, thanks for having me.
Good to see you. And first off, are you surprised by the breakdown of these numbers with what we're seeing with the Democratic response versus the Republican response and the favorable, unfavorable ratings with the Me Too movement here in Texas?
Absolutely. Of course you expect in a conservative state like Texas for there to be healthy skepticism about what's perceived as a pretty left-leaning movement. But it is interesting when you look at the split between women along partisan lines, you see just 17% of Republican women finding anything good about the Me Too movement compared to 65% of Democratic women who give Me Too a thumbs up. And that's just a huge, huge gap.
Yeah, it's interesting to see kind of the breakdowns of this, but with regards to the midterm elections, with regards to how this will affect the future of state legislatures, Congress, more than twice as many women are running for Congress this year than were running just 2 years ago. That wave of female candidates obviously echoing here in Texas. Too, how much of a role do you think this will play in the midterm elections?
Well, I think we have to take a little step back and look at the 2016 presidential and the frustration that resulted with many, many women in America around the sexual harassment allegations throughout that campaign. You look at an inauguration at the top of 2017 that half the country was just jubilant about, really delighted to have President Trump in office, but the other half of America was either indifferent or pretty frustrated and outraged. And literally the day after the inauguration, you had women marching all over this nation to express their frustration and to encourage each other to become politically involved and politically active. So all of that was happening before that tipping point moment in the fall of 2017 when Me Too became a household word as a result of someone out of the entertainment industry in California. So particularly in Texas, very conservative state, more women are running, but they're not running under the Me Too umbrella.
What do you see them being more so here in the state? I mean, some Democrats have gotten in as part of this Me Too movement, but what are you seeing with regards to why women are getting involved in politics this time around? Why more women are getting involved?
What we see is, as you said, the most women running for Congress in the history of our nation. So of course that's not a result of something that happened in Q3 or Q4 last year. That's something that's been building for some time. And what we see in more conservative parts of the country, like here in Texas, let's take the 21st Congressional District, where Jennifer Sarver is a congressional candidate. She is running on civility. She talks about civility at all of her campaign appearances and about bringing decorum back to national politics.
What do you think about the role of social change, the role of how this could play into, this movement could play into the makeup of state legislatures if some of these women do get elected, and what we could see with policy changes?
That's a very good question. A couple of things on that. As we know, there are 49 women who are likely or are already running for the United States Senate. 390 women are likely to or are already running for Congress. We also know that when women run, they're far more likely to run as a Democrat. So are we going to see more women and more Democrats in Congress? Probably. And are they going to embrace issues that are close to the hearts of women and families throughout America? Yeah, probably. But women are job creators, they're breadwinners, they're small business owners, and they care about tax reform and economic policy just as much as their male counterparts do.
What do you see as being the increased attention or awareness or possible changes towards sexual harassment and assault with all that we've seen with the Me Too movement, not only with people being elected, but just in general with this so much awareness being around this now?
Yeah. It's interesting. We're able to have a great deal of visibility on the governmental level. We can see policies being proposed. Nonprofits have a degree of transparency, a responsibility to share their work with the public that the private sector does not. So the real question for most of us who work in the private sector in this nation is, how are businesses going to respond? And I see every day businesses that we work with at the Mach 1 Group who are restructuring, who are creating new reporting mechanisms so that you're not reporting at the C level, you're circumnavigating that and going perhaps to an outside group or straight to the board of directors. Smart organizations are making those adjustments now. They're recruiting more women, which is great for women, and it's great for organizations who benefit from a more diverse leadership group.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was my next question, or at least poses the next question of just, we hear about this so much from the national standpoint, from Hollywood standpoint. What about, you know, the water cooler conversations, or getting down more onto the local level, as you're saying with some of these businesses that are changing their policies, and just what it can mean for social change even on the local level?
Yeah, that is the fascinating question. And I think many of us look to the Me Too movement for that kind of guidance. But when you dig a little deeper, you see an organization that was created 10 years ago and that was then adopted by people in the entertainment industry as the battle cry of sharing these experiences. Groups like Time's Up are probably a little more serious about getting organized around specific policy initiatives, taking themselves out of the entertainment industry and onto Main Street and into all of the various sectors of American life and American business that are experiencing this just as government, news media, and entertainment are.
Katherine McLane, we will definitely get you back in to talk about this issue as well as others. Thanks so much for being on the show tonight. We appreciate your time. Thank you. And still ahead, the Quorum Report's Harvey Kronberg is in